Hello students, welcome to Accounting Explained at AccountWise Academy. This is Lata Venkateshwaran. In this video, I am going to explain about journal entries for IGST. If you want to learn important questions and MCQs for chapters 1, 2 and 3, you can look into the shorts of our channel Accounting Explained at AccountWise Academy. I have uploaded a detailed video on goods and services tax separately while uploading for chapter 2. I will share the link of the video in the description box. You can go through it for better understanding. Now I am going to give a brief description on what is IGST. IGST means Integrated Goods and Services Tax. It's a combination of both CGST and SGST. It applies to interstate transactions and imports. We know CGST separately and SGST separately is for intrastate, that is within the state. When you are going to do interstate and imports, you will be charged IGST, that is Integrated Goods and Services Tax. Let's see this with an example. A dealer in Maharashtra sells goods to its dealer in Rajasthan worth 1 lakh. The GST rate is 18%. And it comprises of both CGST rate of 9% and SGST rate of 9%. In such a case, the dealer has to charge rupees 18,000 as IGST. He will not charge CGST and SGST separately. He will charge both together as IGST for rupees 18,000. Let us solve a problem to understand IGST. The question is, record necessary journal entries in the books of Suman of Bihar assuming CGST at 9% and SGST at 9%. Bought goods for rupees 3,50,000 from Jharkhand. He is from Bihar and he has bought from Jharkhand. So two states are involved. So it is interstate and IGST should be taken into account. Sold goods for rupees 2 lakhs Uttar Pradesh. Again two states are involved. Interstate, again IGST will be involved. Sold goods for rupees 4 lakh locally. Only it is intrastate. So CGST and SGST part should be taken separately and IGST is not considered. Paid insurance premium 30,000. Again IGST is not considered. CGST part and SGST should be taken separately. Bought furniture for office 50,000. IGST is not involved. CGST and SGST should be taken separately. We are going to solve the question transaction by transaction. The first transaction is bought goods for rupees 3,50,000 from Jharkhand. So you have bought from Jharkhand. You are from Bihar and you have bought from Jharkhand. Okay. So it is interstate and IGST is involved. Okay. IGST percentage will be CGST plus SGST 9%. It is 18%. Bought goods means you have bought for the business. When you buy goods for business, it is called as purchases. When you purchase goods, your expenses increase. When the expense increases, you have to debit. So 3,50,000 is the purchase amount. Again, so when you buy goods, it is input because you are going to pay tax. It is input. Here it is interstate, so it is called as IGST, input IGST. What is the amount? Amount is 3,50,000 into 18%, which is 63,000. Again you are paying tax. When you pay tax, increase in tax means increase in expense. Then you have to debit. 63,000 has to be debited. Bought goods for 3,50,000 from Jharkhand. They have not mentioned whether you have bought on credit or on cash or by giving check. Since it's a huge amount, we assume that you have bought by giving check. So when you give check, your bank balance decreases. When your bank balance decreases, your asset value also decreases. When the asset decreases, we have to credit it. So when we have to credit, what amount? 3,50,000 plus 63,000 is 4,13,000. Journal entry will look like this. See here, purchases account debit 3,50,000, input IGST account debit 63,000, to bank account 3,50,000 plus 63,000, it is 4,13,000 being goods bought. Next transaction is sold goods for rupees 2 lakhs, Uttar Pradesh. From Bihar, he has sold goods to Uttar Pradesh. So two states are involved. It is interstate. We know IGST has to be considered. IGST percentage is CGST 9% plus SGST 9%. It is 18%. Okay. So sold goods. Sold goods means that is for the business. When the goods are sold for the business, we have to call it as sales. Sales means increase in income. When the income increases, what you have to do? We have to credit it. What is the amount? Amount is 2 lakhs. Again, IGST is to be charged at 18%. When it is on sales, we call it as output IGST, and it has to be collected from the customers. We assume that as an income. When there is increase in income, we have to credit it. So 2 lakhs into 36%, into 18% is 36,000. Okay, again nothing is mentioned about how it is paid. We assume that we have received check for this, and when we receive check, our bank balance increases. When the bank balance increases, it means our asset increases. When the asset increases, what we have to do? We have to debit. Debit with what amount? 2 lakh plus 36,000. It is 2 lakh 36,000. Journal entry will look like this. Bank account debit 2,36,000, to sales account 2 lakhs, to output IGST account 36,000, and the narration is being goods sold outside the state. Third transaction is sold goods locally for rupees 4 lakhs. So sold goods again means for business it is called a sales account. When the sales account is involved, it means increase in income. When the income is increased, we credit it. Okay, here it is locally. Locally means intra-state, within the state. Within the state means CGST and SGST are involved. CGST is 9% and SGST is 9%. So since it is sales, we call it as output CGST. 4 lakh into 9%, it is 36,000. Here sales is 4 lakhs. Okay, 36,000. Output CGST we are collecting from the customers. So it is assumed as increase in income. When the income increases, we have to credit it. Okay, again same. Output SGST assumed as increase in income. So we have to credit it. Credit it with what? 4 lakhs. Again same 9% into 9%. It is 36,000. Here nothing is mentioned whether they have sold it for credit or they have collected check or cash. Since the amount is huge, we assume that they have collected check for it. So when you collect check, your bank account increases. That means your asset increases. That means we have to, when the asset increases, we have to debit it. We will debit it with 4 lakh plus 36,000 plus 36,000. It is 4 lakh 72,000. Journal entry will look like this. Bank account debit 4 lakh 72,000, to sales account 4 lakh, to output CGST account. This is intrastate, within the state. So we are having CGST and SGST separately. 36,000 to output SGST account 36,000 being goods sold on credit locally. Fourth transaction is paid insurance premium of rupees 30,000. As I have already told you, you have to keep CGST at 9% and SGST at 9% as common. Only analysis you have to make is within the state or outside the state. If it is within the state, take CGST and SGST separately. If it is outside the state, that is interstate, then call it as IGST together, 18%. Okay. Now, when we pay insurance premium, we would have taken insurance only from our state. We would not have taken from other state. Okay. So, we have to take CGST part and SGST part separately. Okay, let's do the journal entry now. When you pay insurance premium, it is increase in expense. When the expenses increase, what you have to do? You have to debit it with 30,000. Okay, next, since it is within the state, we have to take CGST and SGST separately. This is for the payment. When you make payment and when you are going to pay goods and services tax, it is called as input. Here it is called as input CGST. Amount is 30,000 into 9%, it is 2,700. Again, input SGST is how much? 30,000 into 9%, it is 2,700. We have paid. When we have paid, what will happen? Your bank account decreases and your asset account also decreases because of that. When the asset decreases, you have to credit it. So, to bank account, you are crediting 35,400. How did you get 35,400? 30,000 plus 2,700 plus 2,700 is 35,400. Narration will be being insurance premium paid. Fifth transaction is bought furniture for rupees 50,000. Okay, so furniture is an asset. It means increase in asset. When the asset increases, we have to debit it. So furniture account debit 50,000. They have not mentioned from where they have bought furniture. So we assume that they have bought furniture within the state, that is intra-state. So CGST part and SGST part should be taken separately. Since it is for the purchases, we have to call it as input CGST and input SGST. Okay, so input CGST will be 50,000 into 9%, which is 4,500. Again, it's an expense. Input CGST, when the tax, you have to pay tax. When the tax is an expense, when there is increase in expense, you have to debit it. Similarly, input SGST is 9% on 50,000. It is a tax. Tax means increase in expense when you pay it. So, input SGST has to be debited with 4,500. We have bought, we assume that we have bought it from bank by giving check rather. So, when you give check, your bank balance decreases and ultimately your asset decreases. When the asset decreases, we have to credit it. So, to bank account, credit 59,000. 50,000 plus 4,500 plus 4,500 is 59,000. The journal entry is being office furniture bought. We have to analyze our journal entries and we have to write separately how much is input and output of IGST, CGST and SGST. Similarly, output of IGST, CGST and SGST separately. Okay. On going through the journal entries, we have found that total output IGST is 36,000. Total input IGST is 63,000. Total output CGST is 36,000. Total input CGST is 2,700 plus 4,500 for two transactions, 7,200. Total output SGST is 36,000 and total input SGST is 2,700 plus 4,500, 7,200 for two transactions. We have to incorporate this in a separate tabular column to find out how much is the tax payable. Okay, particulars, IGST, CGST and SGST are the four columns in the tabular column. First we are taking output. Output IGST is 36,000 rupees, 36,000 and output CGST is 36,000, 36,000. Output SGST is 36,000 rupees, 36,000. Okay, next input. How much is input? IGST is 63,000 rupees. CGST is 2,700 plus 4,500. It is 7,200. And here also total input SGST is 7,200. Excess. Output is what we have received from the customers, and input is what we have paid to the suppliers. Excess is minus 27,000. So we have, for IGST, we have received lesser and we have paid more. That's why we are getting negative of 27,000. And CGST is 28,800 and SGST is 28,800. Okay, this negative 27,000 can be set off against the 28,800 CGST which we are going to pay. So we are setting off this by adding 27,000 here and deducting 27,000 from CGST. Payable amount is for IGST is nil and CGST is 28,800 minus 27,000, it is 1,800. SGST is 28,800. This is the amount payable. Okay. See, received. We have received from customers, no? This we have to pay. This we have paid. This can be set off against what we have to pay. That's all. If you understand this, we can easily solve the problem. This is the tabular column which we prepared. So now we are going to take output IGST, CGST and SGST. What will we do with the output transactions? Output tax is paid by the customers. Okay. So when we receive it, what we would have done? We would have credited it. We assumed it as an income, right? So we credited it. Now we are going to cancel it. When we cancel it, what we are going to do? We are going to debit it. So output IGST account debitors 36,000. Tabular column. See the tabular column. Output CGST account debitors, tabular column is 36,000. Journal entry is also 36,000. Output SGST account debitors, tabular column is 36,000. Journal entry is also 36,000. Similarly, input is what we have paid to the suppliers. What did we do? When we pay the tax, we debited it. Okay, we assumed it as an income and expense. When the expense increases, we debited it. Now we are going to cancel it. What we are going to do? We are going to credit it. So to input IGST, input is how much? 63,000. See the tabular column. Credit is 63,000. To input CGST account is tabular column 7,200. Again credit is 7,200. To input SGST account, tabular column is 7,200. And the credit side is also 7,200 on the journal entry. Now the two transactions, debit and credit side, does not tally. What we have to do? We have to transfer the excess amount to electronic cash ledger. The credit side is short by 30,600. Okay, so we are crediting it to electronic cash ledger account by 30,600. Electronic cash ledger is an account of the taxpayer maintained by GST system. Okay, so it is the amount, whatever the tax you are going to pay, that amount it will be put into the electronic cash ledger account, and it is mainly used for only GST payment, and it can be opened in recognized banks, and payment of taxes and other dues can be made by the taxpayer. That is what is electronic cash register. Can we just cross verify this with our tabular column? See, payable is how much? 1,800 and 28,800. When you add 1,800 with 28,800, you get 30,600. So our payable amount which is transferred to electronic cash register is 3,600. So our journal entry is also correct. The narration is being GST set off and the balance paid. If you would like to inquire about the online classes which I take, or to get more worksheets, you can contact us at acc.wiseacademy@gmail.com.